අද්විතීය 200 Mbps ස්පීඩ් එකකින් ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ වේගවත්ම සහ පුළුල්තම හෝම් බ්‍රෝඩ්බෑන්ඩ් සම්බන්ධතාවය වන SLT මොබිටෙල් දේශීය ෆයිබර් බලවේගය ඔබත් අදම අත්විඳින්න.
හරිම සුළුයි.
Tonight on First at 9, this Thursday the 4th of May 2023. Out of comfort zones. Former IMF Resident Coordinator Dr. Nadimul Haq says that Sri Lankans should stop feeling that they can continue to get loans through consultancy. Senior lecturer at the Colombo University Dr. Priyanka Dunasinghe explains the welfare benefit scheme in the country amidst the IMF program. New threats. Amidst rising dengue cases, health experts warns of new dengue variants spreading in the country. Consistency. Sri Lanka remains consistent with the debt resolution of the IMF program, says Foreign Minister Ali Sabri. Turbulent weather. Heavy showers in the country expected to continue until the 9th of May. Met Department attributes turbulent weather to Bay of Bengal.
Alliance Finance මෙතුරු රන්නයි සේවාවෙන් රන් පවුම්කට රුපියල් 1,70,000ක ඉහළ අතිකාරමක්. ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දිනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9 with Andrew Bernard. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
A very good evening and welcome to AdaDerana 24's English News. Your top story for tonight, Minister of Foreign Affairs Ali Sabri says that Sri Lanka remains consistent with the debt resolution of the IMF program and urged all parties to agree on a meaningful debt relief package to the countries who are under debt distress. Now addressing the session of the 56th annual meeting of the Board of Governors of the Asian Development Bank, Sabri expressed confidence of achieving economic stability with the improvement of fiscal performance in the future.
Minister of Foreign Affairs President's Council Ali Sabri, who arrived in Incheon in South Korea to participate in the 56th annual meeting of the Board of Governors of the Asian Development Bank, delivered a statement today at the Governors' business session of the meeting. The Foreign Minister represented President Ranil Wickremesinghe during the session.
Last year on the 5th May, when I chaired the business session of the ADB Board of Governors as the Governor representing Sri Lanka and the Minister of Finance, our country was facing extremely challenging situation due to social and political turmoil caused by the unprecedented economic crisis. I remains with gratitude many encouraging messages received by me from many multilateral and bilateral partners, including the ADB, that are willing to assist us at that time. I am happy to announce that today we are looking forward with a glimmer of hope as we have just navigated our way out of the abyss of extreme complication we faced. Suffering of the Sri Lankans have been eased to a certain degree. During the last 10 to 12 months, we have adopted strenuous and difficult actions to control the inflation. And recently we have seen our currency, the Sri Lankan rupee, is marginally appreciating. But we are aware that we cannot be satisfied with the little progress we have made thus far. Sustaining this development is the demanding task ahead of us. We have laid the basic foundation for transforming the economy and have launched a comprehensive economic reform program seeking to stabilize the economy and to address the macroeconomic challenges. I wish to highlight the successful conclusion of the negotiation with the International Monetary Fund entering into a EFF facility. Sri Lanka remains committed to debt resolution consistent with the IMF program. I urge all parties to agree on a meaningful debt relief package for the countries who are under debt stress. I am confident that by moving forward, we will be able to improve fiscal performance and stabilize the economy in near future. I wish to underscore the importance of financial support from our multilateral and bilateral partners to bridge financing gaps that may arise in our recovery process this year and in the coming couple of years, especially the expenditure required for the social protection in the medium term. Sri Lanka is not alone in that trajectory.
Now, former IMF Resident Coordinator of Sri Lanka, Dr. Nadimul Haq, says that Sri Lanka should figure out on how it can fit into the global economy. Speaking to Indivariya Muwatta during our current affairs program at Hyde Park on AdaDerana 24, Dr. Haq said that Sri Lanka should get rid of the mentality of needing to seek consultancy and obtaining loans. Meanwhile, senior lecturer at the Department of Economics at the University of Colombo, Dr. Priyanga Dunusingh explained on how welfare benefits are given to the people who are eligible in the country amidst the IMF program.
In terms of policy corrective measures, do you think Sri Lanka has initiated what is needed for stronger mid to long-term policies that will set the economy on the right track?
This feeling that we have that somehow you can hire a consultant and get away with it and take a loan and get away with it has to go. Most important of all, we have to figure out our own niche, our own competitive advantage. Both countries need to figure out how they can fit into the global economy, what can they export, what can they attract in terms of capital. These are the critical questions we have to answer. And to answer those, we have to make sure that we employ the best talent that we can find locally. State-owned enterprises. Sri Lanka, I checked the other day, you still have the same old state enterprises. They're still bleeding. I mean, how can you have something that is bleeding? How come we don't fix the state-owned enterprises? Even if you fix the state-owned enterprises, our public sectors are huge. Why do we need to give such a guaranteed public sector employment to people? I am against public sector employment. Why are we building a social safety net like the West has done? Why can't we innovate? Where are the opportunities in our countries? Sri Lanka, I still don't know what use you make of the sea. You have a boat, yes. But other than that, what use do you make of the sea?
What do you think are the measures that need to be taken right away in order to ease the burden on the people? We've been talking about Samurdhi, and there are questions on how beneficiaries who are really not eligible, who have graduated out of the scheme, are still obtaining benefits. But there are the most vulnerable, the biggest hit population that is not receiving any welfare.
The committee basically, right now the cabinet has approved that, came up with a new design where, depending on the distance to the poverty line, the committee decided to pay 2/3 of the distance to the poverty line to a household. The government conducted a survey with the use of the data. Then it was calculated the required amount for the ultra poor household, then the modestly poor, and then the vulnerable, so on and so forth. Accordingly, the proposed scheme, now 15,000 will be paid to a poorest household. The next poor household, it will be 8,500. Then the vulnerable, it will be 5,000. And the transitional poor, that means those who get into poverty because of the economic crisis and the pandemic, they will be paid 2,500. This will be for a 3-year period. And during that period, there will be a graduation schemes where the poor people will be assisted with microfinance, entrepreneurship, training, education, and various programs. And it is expected that they could enhance their economic status.
COPE revealed recently that some 33% of the current Samurdhi recipients are not eligible to receive benefits under a social safety net. How would you do away with these?
Due to political affiliation, the successive government decided to provide Samurdhi for their political supporters. Right now, with the new survey, when data coming in, it is easy through a computer system. You enter such data and the decisions will be made by looking at their income, expenditure, and other number of criteria that need to be taken into account. Depending on such criteria, whether the person is a beneficiary or not will be determined. Certainly those who are not qualified can get into the grievances committee and appeal for the decision. But this time the selection process is a very much independent, centralized system take care of that, and no political interference.
How do you think Sri Lanka should work to move out of these subsidies while also enhancing this social safety net for the most vulnerable people?
I think the biggest social safety net that we forget is opportunity. Both in Sri Lanka and Pakistan, poverty has declined enormously. Poverty has not declined because of welfare programs. Poverty has not declined because of Smurti. Poverty has not declined because of government intervention. Poverty has declined because of remittances. Remittances is where the poor have helped themselves. They've left the country, sometimes in containers, sometimes illegally, taking a huge risk. Some have died on the way, and they have sent back money to alleviate their family from poverty. Both Sri Lanka and Pakistan are wasting a lot of time and effort doing poverty surveys. But we have no survey on opportunity. A poor person can get this welfare scheme, but then what happens? What opportunity does that poor person have? Is there an opportunity to, for example, set up a business? For example, kiosks, street vending. Where is street vending in Sri Lanka? We have severe restrictions on street vending. quite frankly, the regulatory barriers are huge and we have to worry about opportunities. Unless you have opportunity, there's neither going to be growth nor is there going to be any improvement in welfare. People are just going to get stuck on these benefits. And then again, this thing about measuring from the poverty line, people will try and report below the poverty line. So your service will also get contaminated.
Now, the Department of Meteorology says that the prevailing showers in the country are expected to continue until the 9th of May. The department attributed the turbulent nature in the lower atmosphere of the Bay of Bengal as the reason for the current weather condition in the country. Now, according to its general forecast for tomorrow, heavy showers exceeding 75 millimeters are likely to take place in some places in the western, northwestern provinces in the island. Several areas across the country, including the western and northwestern provinces and the Jaffna, Kilinochchi, Mana, Galle as well as the Mathura districts have been experiencing heavy rainfall in recent days. During the past 24-hour cycle ending at 8 am today, the highest rainfall of 112.7 millimeters was recorded in the Colombo fort. Meanwhile, due to the heavy rain situation, a tree at the Borella junction fell over, disrupting traffic in the area. Meanwhile, due to the heavy rain, a tree at the Borella junction fell over, disrupting traffic in the area and damaging a traffic light. The fire department of the Municipal Council of Colombo took necessary measures to remove parts of the tree. Following the heavy rainfall, a mound of earth and a bamboo tree fell onto the Nuvarili Haputale main road in the Kapatipola Erabada area, which caused disruptions in transportation. In this backdrop, the Department of Meteorology today stated that heavy showers will continue until the 9th of May. In its general weather forecast for tomorrow, the department stated that showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in the eastern, central and Uva provinces and in the Hambantota district during the afternoon or night. Furthermore, showers are expected in the western and northwestern provinces and in the Jaffna, Kilinochchi, Mana, Galle as well as Mathura districts during the morning. The department added that fairly heavy showers exceeding 75 millimeters are likely at some places in the western and northwestern provinces.
මේ වැසි තත්ත්වයේ වැඩිවීමක් අපි අපේක්ෂා කරනවා. මොකද හේතුව දිවෙන්ට නැගෙනහිර වෙරළබඩ තීරයට ඔබ්බෙන් තියෙන බෙන්ගාල බොක්ක ප්‍රදේශයේ තියෙනවා කැළඹෙන ස්වභාවයක්. මේක 7 8 9 වගේ දිනයන් වෙනකොට අඩු පීඩන කලාපයක් බවට පරිවර්තන ලකුණු තමයි අපිට පහළ වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. මේකේ වක්‍ර බලපෑම හේතු කොටගෙන එම දිනයන් වල දිවයින තුල තියෙන වර්ෂාපතනයේ තරමක වැඩිවීමක් අපි අපේක්ෂා කරනවා. ඊට අමතරව සුළඟේ වේගය වැඩි වෙන අවස්ථාත් තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. දීවර හා නායක ප්‍රජාවට පැහැදිලිව කියන්න තියෙනවා සුළඟේ වේගය වැඩි, මුහුද රළු වීමේ හැකියාවන් සහ වැසි තත්ත්වයේ තද බල තත්ත්වයක්.
Now, head of the Department of Immunology, Allergy and Molecular Medicine at the University of Sri Jayawardhanapura, Professor Chandima Jeevaran warned that the number of dengue cases reported in the country may increase in the near future with the spread of a new dengue variant identified as DEN3 in the country. In this backdrop, the Director General of the National Dengue Control Unit, Dr. Nalin Aryaratna, warned the public to seek medical treatment if fever remains in the body for over 2 days. Health experts are currently observing an increase in the number of dengue cases reported from the island. So far, 30,722 cases have been registered since the year began. According to health authorities, over 49% of the total dengue cases are reported from the western province. And out of that number, 7,617 cases have been reported during the month of April, which is an 89% increase compared to the number of dengue cases reported in April last year, which was 4,019. In this backdrop of rising dengue cases, the head of the Department of Immunology, Allergy and Molecular Medicine at the University of Sri Jayawardhanapura, Professor Chandima Jeevaran, warned that the number of dengue cases reported in the country may increase in the near future, with the new variant of dengue spreading these days.
වෛරස් ප්‍රභේද 4ක් තියෙන නිසා යම්කිසි පුද්ගලයෙක්ට ඩෙන්ගු එක් වරකට වඩා වැඩි වාර ගණනක් හැදීමේ හැකියාවක් තියෙනවා. අප්‍රේල් මාසයේ වෙන විට පරීක්ෂණ කරපු නියදි සියල්ලම වාගේ DEN3 කියන ප්‍රභේදයෙන් තමයි ඩෙන්ගු රෝගීන් වාර්තා වුනේ. අනුමාන කරනවා මේ ප්‍රභේදයේ මාරු වීමත් සමග රෝගීන් වැඩිවීමේ හැකියාවක් තියෙනවා. ඉතින් ඩෙන්ගු රෝගය කියන්නේ වෛරස් එකකින් හැදෙන ලෙඩක්. මේකට ප්‍රතිකාර නැහැ. ඒ රෝග ලක්ෂණට අදාළව තමයි ප්‍රතිකාර කරන්නේ. බොන්න බෙහෙතක් නැහැ, එන්නතක් නැහැ. ජනතාව විදිහට ඉතාමත්ම වැදගත් වෙන්නේ රෝගය තමන් ඇතුළට එන එක නවත්ත ගන්න එක. දිවෙන පුරා පරීක්ෂණයක් සිදු කරා පළාත් 9ම ආවරණය වෙන විදිහට පාසල් 146ක ළමයින් 5208ක් අරගෙන සාම්පල් එකක් පරීක්ෂා කරලා බලුවා මේ දරුවන්ගේ ඩෙන්ගු ප්‍රතිදේහ මට්ටම කොහොමද කියලා. ඉතින් අපි දැක්කා ඩෙන්ගු ප්‍රතිදේහ සහිත දරුවෝ හිටියේ 24.9ක් විතර.
මරණ වලින් අපි ගොඩක් අය දැක්කේ මේ ප්‍රමාද වෙලා මේ රෝහල් වලට ඇතුළත් වෙන අය. දවස් 2කට වඩා උණ තියෙනවා. සුදුසුකම් ලත් වෛද්‍යවරයෙක් හම්බ වෙලා අවශ්‍ය ප්‍රතිකර්ම ගන්න ඕනේ. අනවශ්‍ය බෙහෙත් වර්ග පාවිච්චිය අපි දැකලා තියෙනවා මේ මරණ වලට හේතුවක් විදිහට. වේදනානාශක ඖෂධ භාවිතය නොකළ යුතු දෙයක්.
Now, on the 30th of April, a 24-year-old Sri Lankan national was discovered dead in a hostel room in the Girod State Medical University in Belarus. Dishan Koloraratne, a fourth-year student at the Girod State Medical University, has been identified as the deceased. The Belarus police have commenced investigations to determine as to whether the youth's death was a suicide or the resultant of other reasons.
A 24-year-old Sri Lankan national was found dead in a room in the hostel of the Grodno State Medical University on the 30th of April. The deceased has been identified as Tishan Koloratne, a resident of Kandy who was in the fourth year at the Grodno State Medical University in Belarus at the time of his death. The Belarus police have commenced investigations to determine as to whether the youth's death was a suicide or had resulted due to other reasons. However, no cause of death has been identified thus far. Koloratne was known to be an exceptional student and had won the award for the most talented student in the first, second and third years of his degree. He was also a senior prefect during his years at school in Trinity College Kandy and excelled in extracurricular activities. It is reported that a consular officer of the Sri Lankan embassy in Moscow has also gone to Belarus to investigate the death.
Now, the Parliamentary Business Committee has fixed dates for the adjournment debate on the Express Pearl vessel as well as the second reading of the Central Bank Bill of Sri Lanka. Addressing a press release of the Communications Department of Parliament, the adjournment debate on the MV Express Pearl disaster will be held on the 10th of May from 5 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. Meanwhile, the debate on the second reading of the Central Bank Bill of Sri Lanka is scheduled for the 11th of May from 9:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Furthermore, the Parliamentary Business Committee decided to convene the Parliament from the 9th of May to the 12th on its meeting, of which will be held last week. And we'll be back with more news right after this short commercial break. Stay with us.
ගොඩමඩ පෙරලි කරන බලපුළුවන් කාරයා මහින්ද්‍රා යුවෝ ඩීමෝ වෙතින්. වැඩම ගොඩයි ගොඩම තමයි. ස්වරාජ් ට්‍රැක්ටර් ඩීමෝ වෙතින්. මේ අලුත් අවුරුද්දේ හිත පිරෙන ගනුදෙනුවකට හොඳම තැන හිත ගිය තැන බැංකුව HNB.
Welcome back. Now, the coronation of King Charles III is scheduled to take place this Saturday at 11 a.m. at the Westminster Abbey. According to the President's Media Division, President Ranil Wickremesinghe left Sri Lanka through the Bandaranaike International Airport earlier today in order to attend the coronation ceremony following an invitation extended by the royal family.
The coronation of King Charles III will be held this Saturday at Westminster Abbey in London with over 2,000 guests invited from different countries. These include heads of state, members of royal families and famous artists as well. Almost all the members of the British royal family are expected to join this historic event, including Prince Harry, who has left the royal family and is living in America. However, neither his wife Meghan Markle nor his children will attend the ceremony. It is reported that Russian President Vladimir Putin and the leaders of Belarus, Iran, Myanmar, Syria, Afghanistan and Venezuela have not been invited for this coronation ceremony. After the death of Queen Elizabeth II on September 8 last year, Prince Charles III became king with the coronation ceremony traditionally planned to be held this month. A coronation ceremony is held in Britain after 70 years. A special feature of the ceremony is that it will be carried out in line with 1,000-year-old customs. For the ceremony, coronation items such as crown, orb and mace are used. However, Britain is the only European country that still uses such coronation items. Then the king places his hand on the Bible and swears the oath of coronation, following which he will be crowned as king. There King Charles wears St. Edward's crown, which he will wear only once in his life. He becomes the 7th king to wear the crown, which weighs more than 2 kilos. After that, a group of archbishops and bishops of Canterbury enthrone the king. Subsequently, Queen Consort Camilla will officially be known as Queen Camilla. The entire cost of this unique event is borne by the British government. However, at a time when the country is facing a severe economic crisis, there has been a strong opposition from the British people to hold such a huge ceremony by spending £100 million of tax money collected from the citizens. In the meantime, President Ranil Wickremesinghe left Sri Lanka earlier today to England to attend the coronation ceremony of King Charles III. President Wickremesinghe will participate in the coronation ceremony at the invitation of the British royal family.
Now, Sri Lanka and Emirates signed a memorandum of understanding to promote the tourism in the island. As per the agreement, the Emirates is expected to implement initiatives designed to promote Sri Lanka's tourism and trade industries. The agreement was signed at the Arabian Travel Market 2023, which was inaugurated in Dubai on Tuesday. The event was attended by officials of Emirates, Minister of Tourism and Lands Harin Fernando, Managing Director of Sri Lanka Tourism Promotion Bureau and the Sri Lankan Ambassador to the UAE. Further, Minister Fernando stated that the Sri Lanka looks forward to working with Emirates to grow the tourism sector and make a positive impact on Sri Lanka's economy. Now, the Colombo bourse ended higher today, helped by industrial and financial stocks. The CSE All-Share Price Index settled at 0.36% higher, ending at 8,830.36 points today, but fell for the third straight week. Expo Lanka Holdings and LOLC Finance were the top gainers of the index, rising 1.3% and 1.9% respectively. Trading volume on the index fell to 12.7 million shares from 29.9 million in the previous session. Meanwhile, the more liquid S&P SL20 settled at 2,558.67 points, rising by 1.9%. The equity market's turnover fell to 252.4 million rupees from 611.7 million rupees in the previous session. Now, foreign investors were net buyers, purchasing stocks worth 32.7 million rupees, while domestic investors were the net sellers, offloading shares worth 242.5 million rupees. Now let's take a look at how the Sri Lankan rupee traded against the other major currencies during the day. Now, the World Bank's 25-member executive board yesterday selected the former MasterCard CEO Ajay Banga to a 5-year term as president, effective from the 2nd of June. Now, Banga was nominated for the post by the US President Joe Biden in late February and was the sole contender to replace departing World Bank chief David Malpass. The executive directors of the World Bank today selected Ajay Banga as president of the World Bank for a 5-year term period, beginning from the 2nd of June this year. The executive directors followed the selection process agreed by shareholders in 2011, which includes an open, merit-based and transparent nomination where any national of the bank's membership could be proposed by any executive director or governor through an executive director. Ajay Banga most recently served as vice chairman at the General Atlantic. Previously, he was president and CEO of MasterCard, a global organization with nearly 24,000 employees. He was honorary chairman of the International Chamber of Commerce, serving as chairman from 2020 to 2022. The newly appointed World Bank president Ajay Banga will also be the chair of the board of executive directors of the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. Further, the World Bank president is also the ex-officio chair of the board of directors of the International Development Association, International Finance Cooperation, the Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, and of the Administrative Council of the International Center for Settlement of Investment Disputes. And that's all the news we have for you this evening. Join us again tomorrow for the very latest news at the very same time. Tune into our social media pages for the very latest updates. Have a pleasant evening and good night.
For news and information you can trust 24 hours a day, visit AdaDerana.lk.